down about the team from their hometown. Josh the key on touchdown. Rodgers to Wilson touchdown. You gonna laugh, you gonna cry, but these two are ride or die. They'll take you all the way to the Super Bowl or the exhibition game. Stay with them all the way to the Hall of Fame.
And welcome back to another edition of Official Word Sports. I'm Vince, and I'm here with my co-host Stevie D. Stevie D, this is episode 39, which means it's the season finale. Long ride, my friend. Long ride. We've been going at this. Well, obviously season 7, but this was a long season. A little longer for some.
Well, it's long in both ways, right? You guys went long, and ours had long because we had a bunch of headaches.
Yeah, mine ended. We slammed on the brakes really hard a couple weeks ago, and it ended the season. But it was a good season. I think overall, when we look at just things that happen in the league, it was enjoyable, right? You had some of the upsets. You saw some of the kids, which I think when you look around the league is in good shape. It really is. When you look at the Jaden Daniels, and even though Caleb didn't statistically have a great season, they have life injected into them. They have all the pieces around them, so the future's bright there. You saw some of the young talented wide receivers who came out in the draft and certainly made some noise. Um, I wonder if Brandon Bean is starting to regret trading that pick to Kansas City. I'm just saying, but things happen. But they had a wide receiver who wowed everybody at the combine, or this year, and um, he continued to really play well. His name was not high on the boards like some of the others, right?
Yeah,
And he proved to show that he was very valuable and probably if used in the same manner as maybe a Neighbors or Thomas Jr. or something like that may have made some noise for Rookie of the Year.
yeah. I think Worthy just doesn't have the hands like those guys have. Those guys have elite hands, elite footwork. Um,
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So Stevie D, again, just I personally enjoyed the season not just because of the run my Bills had, but I love football. I do, man, and I know you do as well. So,
it's
being
amazing though how quick it goes, man. And we say it every year. It's like clockwork. You're at week 2, and then you blink, you're at week 10. It's like how does that happen, right? You go from Labor Day to Halloween to basically you're almost at Christmas, right? It's just it's wild how that works in the NFL. It just speeds up. It goes so quick. So
indeed, indeed. So, I guess we're putting a bow on this one. Wait a minute. Wait. What is this? Where's my hey? Come on, Rob. Come
he
on,
jumped ship. He went to Super Bowl champs. I mean,
Rob. You could be banned from the last show. Right. We'll at season's end, the band will end. No, we're going to get to that one in just a minute, Rob. You know, just kind of wrapping up the season. It will be interesting because there's always changes, and I'm not talking about from the team's perspective. I'm talking about from the league perspective, right? What did they introduce this year? This crazy kickoff, which I still hate. I'm going to tell you right now, I still hate. I haven't gotten used to the kicker being 50 yards away from the rest of his guys. I haven't gotten used to sit. Hello, Mr. Official. We'd like to do an onside kick. Oh, by the way, tell them we're going to do the onside.
that's the worst part of the kickoff rule by
Yeah,
far. The element of surprise is gone. Are you kidding me?
absolutely. Yeah, we saw it in the Super Bowl. We've seen it in regular games. I don't like it. I don't like it. But next year, new rules. What are we getting in new rules? And when we start to, because this is our season's finale, we're going to go on hiatus, right, for a little bit, kind of recharge the batteries and do some things with the platform and all of that. But when we come back, they'll have had those owners meetings. There's going to be some owners that are going to say, "I have a new proposal." Right? I'm sure there's going to be a proposal on being able to determine whether or not you made a first step. I'm sure that's going to be coming.
Well, the tush push is going to be a topic of discussion,
Yeah.
um, and it'd be interesting what they do with that. I still don't like the whole pushing of a player forward. I don't, whether it's a tush push or not. I don't like when linemen go running into a pile. To me, that's more dangerous than anything. When a lineman just blindly starts, you know, uh, moving that pile forward. So I hope they look at that piece as well when they look at the tush push.
Interesting thing about that. They say you can push, but you can't pull.
Yes.
You know how many times I saw people being pulled?
Well, I think once that scrum happens,
Yeah.
depending on where you are, oh yeah, they're pulling all right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it would, again, we're going to see when we come back. There's going to be new rule changes, and we're going to try to be back for free agency, right? Because we want to talk about at least the happenings around the NFL, and then importantly with the Bills and with the Jets, see what they do. Uh, I anticipate that there's going to be a lot of noise happening in Florham Park, right? And we're going to get to some of that a little bit. Um, I'm hoping there's going to be some noise leading up to free agency over at One Bills Drive, Miles Garrett. I'm hoping there's going to be some noise, right? So we'll see. And then once we get going into season 8, Stevie D, we have to do our annual Hall of Fame. The class they announced a class, a smaller class. I'm thinking that somebody from the Hall of Fame committee was listening to OW Sports over the previous 7 seasons, and they know exactly what we feel about the Hall of Fame and how they've been just letting everybody in. It's been just a revolving door. You played, sure, come on in. You're in the Hall of Fame, and they stopped that, right? They stopped that completely. And
I was surprised only 4 went in because it's 5. It's 5 every year. It's been like clockwork, 5, and this one was 4.
Yeah,
Which is shocking when you think of some players in the backlog that you could have, in the way they approach it. I'm not saying the way we approach it. I want to make that delineation that you could have gotten a backlog, whether it was an offensive lineman or a wide receiver or a running back, where you could have cleaned up a little bit of a backlog. And they chose not to do it, which is shocking that they didn't take advantage of that.
I'm just hoping that they raise the bar. That more than anything, I hope that the bar has been raised and that it stays there. I really do like Sterling Sharp going in.
I know.
I
That was
like,
the wide receiver for me back then.
yeah.
Um, uh, I mean, he started with Mikowski, right? And then it got passed over to Favre when he came, and he was just unbelievable. If you like Gale Sayers for the Hall of Fame for a shortened career for a running back, Sterling Sharp fits that mold as a hurt wide receiver for the Hall of Fame. Because there is no doubt his career, if he didn't have the neck injury, right? We're not talking about a little nagging injury. We're talking about life and death type of injury in the neck. If you play, you could die, right? And to me, that should supersede that because your track was that. And so I'm glad they finally righted it wrong. And I thought the way they did it with Shannon Sharp bringing his brother over to the house, and then them talking about it, it gives you chills when you listen to Shannon talk about his older brother. It really does. If that doesn't move you, there's something wrong.
Right.
How he talks about his older brother Sterling. So it's a great family story, and they get to be the first brothers. We all thought it was going to be the Kelseys. Sorry.
Yeah, oh yeah.
All right. So
Yeah, you guys are right. Sharp, long overdue.
Yeah.
And you're right, Craig, when you say people forget how good he was. I mean,
yeah.
he was legit. And you mentioned, even having the Magic Man from Buffalo throw him throwing passes to him. Well, all right, that changed a little bit, and you had a gunslinger, and it was on. It was definitely on. The rest of the class, I don't think we batted 1,000 on that one, Stevie D. Obviously, we went for our five, but Gates got in, and
Well, we went for the 5 because that's what the Hall of Fame does.
well,
If
good
we would
point.
have known they would have thrown that curveball, and we probably would have went less than 5.
Good point. I'm okay though with the rest of the class. I'm even okay with Eli not going in.
Oh, I'm more than okay with Eli not going in.
But I will say this. Eli has to go in. Eli has to go in. And the people of Buffalo, the people that wear that green in New York, and even the fish down there, you better be on board with Eli going in. It's 2 victories. Stop that nonsense. Stopped it. Think about the undefeated season. They stopped it.
Their defense stopped it.
Doesn't matter.
They scored 17 points. It's not
He,
like he
he
had
was
to
at,
line
he
up,
was at the
and he
helm.
got lucky.
We do this quarterback debate and we talk about the quarterback win loss and all that. Well, now when you want to talk about the win loss, you want to go back to the defense.
They held them to 14 points. Excuse me. They scored 17, and the defense only gave up 14. The defense won that Super Bowl.
How many
Not
points
Eli.
How many points they score?
17.
Way to go, Eli. All you had to do is do one more than them. Way to go. So we as AFC East brethren are indebted to your service, Mr. Eli Manning. Would you like to still listen to, all the Cheatriots start talking about, our undefeated season and here's another
That's a fair point. But I don't know if I can give Eli the nod because of that. I don't know. I'm just not an Eli guy. I know when you look at his numbers and you're like, okay, but there's too much mediocrity in his game during the regular season.
Indeed.
For me, I just struggle with that.
So all of that happened, Stevie D, before the announcement. And as the announcement was being made, people with bated breath across the country, far and wide, people even internationally, because there is international. They were gripping, holding towels, holding flags. They were waiting, anticipating, debated and delayed. And then all of a sudden, Stevie D, Mr. Kurt Warner turned the tablet to Deion Dawkins and said, "The Bills make me wanna shout. Your MVP is Josh Allen." A big roar came up out of this house and across the world and across the land. And Craig was sitting over there with tears in his eyes as he knew number 8 did not get the MVP for the 3rd time. Oh, Stevie D, it was so good. When you lose like we lost, I need something. I needed a pick-me-up, right? Because I was going through the 5 stages, and that was the pick-me-up that I needed. And I will say this, in all fairness, right? And I'll be fair to Craig, and I'll be fair to everybody else. Don't blame Josh. Blame the sports writers. And when you blame them for what happened in 2024, go back to 2023 and blame them in 2023, because Josh should have won it in 2023. I think Lamar should have won it in 2024. I'll be fair. But because you set the precedent in 2023, that applied to Josh in 2024. So either way, whether it was in 23 or 24, I think Jackson wins it one year, Allen wins it the other. It's just the scribble, the writing on the trophy as to the year. But I was very happy for that. I know Bills Mafia was happy for that. Again, that took a little bit of that sting away from that AFC Championship game. I will tell you though, Stevie D, the funniest thing, Josh was rated best trash talker in the NFL, and Josh won the Sportsmanship of the Year award. How do the two go together? Don't know. Don't know.
He talks. He talks to the right people at the right time.
But this is true. This is true. And then the last thing on Josh, I think this is the first time that the most overrated player won MVP. Just saying. Just saying. Those clowns out there that wanted to say Josh was overrated, never, never, right? He's just a gunslinger and tried to fit the ball in. And we saw what happened once you got rid of Diggs. Then Josh was going to whoever was open, not forcing it. So very happy about that, Craig. Again, sorry for your loss. Sorry for your loss. And now we will move on. Stevie D, there was also a game that happened.
I don't know if we call that a game. I don't know what you call that game.
Well, I don't either. I really don't. But let's just look at Super Bowl 59, right? Chiefs win the coin toss. I'm like, oh, here we go. The refs have it rigged already, right? How did you flip that coin? It did. Stevie D, if you slow the coin down as it's in midair, it actually rotates a certain direction so that it goes on tails and just drops straight down. Slow it down. All 22, you'll see it. Oh, wait, they don't have the coin toss in all 22. I thought the Chiefs, if we look at it in its entirety, I thought the Chiefs had a very good game plan as far as we're going to take away your best weapon, right? That's the Belichick school of trying to win a game. They were dead set and run blitzes and making sure that they were filling the gaps that Barkley couldn't do anything. But something happened, and it's this thing called momentum. It's not this thing called analytics, right? So for all the fantasy analytic guys out there, that's not what happened. It's this thing called momentum. Because when Kansas City got the ball, you saw that front four of Philly go to work. And this is what you and I talked about with both of our teams. Have just a dominant front four, and you let the other seven just do what they want to do. If they want to play man, they're playing tight man. If they want to play zone, you want to have mixed coverages, you could do that because you know that you're getting the pressure and you're getting home with that front four. Josh Sweat was a beast out there, right? An absolute beast. And it's interesting when that game really turned, not by the interceptions, but by the back-to-back sacks. When they put the back-to-back sacks on Mahomes, and he realized he couldn't step up into the pocket, and they were coming off the edge, he had nowhere to go, then all of a sudden he started to get happy feet. And it only took two back-to-back sacks, and they were done. That's where momentum kicked in, and they were done. Because at that point, Mahomes didn't know how fast he could stay in the pocket, where his exit was, right? He tried to go up the middle, and they would catch him from, either the defensive tackles who were pushing the pocket. They were all over. And at that point, it was done. Passes were inaccurate. And Philly was just doing whatever they wanted to do. Go ahead, Stevie D.
It was the same that happened against Tampa Bay. When Mahomes lost, the pressure came up front. When Brady lost to the Giants twice, it's the pressure up front when that front four can get it. And when you have a great quarterback, what beats a great quarterback? It's that pass rush. And if you can do that with only four and have seven back, that's going to be harder for that quarterback to find somebody because you got seven back there with only four rushing. I mean, that was about as a dominant performance you could have from a front four. When you think about not blitzing once the last time a team I don't think it's ever happened in the Super Bowl before where a team could say, I didn't blitz one time. I think I don't think you can find a team to not blitz in the Super Bowl.
I think you're right.
Because Todd liked to blitz, so I know he blitzed on Mahomes with Tampa Bay. So Todd's a blitzer. So it was just incredible to watch Vic, call up those schemes where, you know what, it's really easy. I shouldn't even see and be impressed with it. It's like, okay, front four, you do your thing, and I'm going to sit back here and just going to laugh my butt off because they don't have an answer. They just don't have an answer. It was coming from everywhere. Sweat was, you felt bad. You felt bad from an MVP standpoint.
Feel bad for who?
For Sweat for not getting MVP.
Oh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I kind of was zoning out. I'm thinking you're talking about you felt bad for Kansas City.
No. I felt bad for Sweat because you don't get a D lineman that have that kind of game in a Super Bowl. And I thought Hurts was good, but like the bomb to Smith there when it really sealed the game, 31-0. They all thought you were going to run the ball. Your first play from scrimmage over the top because everybody was. I look at it and said, okay, they gave you that because they were playing the run and you went over the top. I just think the performance by him set the tone to keep Kansas City off their mark offensively.
I absolutely agree with you. And once again, we go back to these sports writers, right? Everybody is enamored with the quarterback, right? Unless you have this phenomenal Timmy Smith type game, right, where the running back gets it. It's always the quarterbacks. But think about the guys that really changed the game. And to your point, Sweat was the guy that changed the game. His pressure, his sacks. Well, I think he finished with 2, but I would, Rob, I know you're out there. Maybe you know how many pressures Sweat had in that game. Or quarterback hits and all of that, right? Those were just dominant. Just dominant.
Think about the play. I don't know who pushed him back into Mahomes, but the second interception out of the end zone when they got the ball at the 14, that was just pressure right in his face, and they pushed the center back or whatever, and Mahomes, they got pushed into Mahomes, causing that turnover. It doesn't go in the stat book for the defensive line. Right. That defensive line caused that interception.
So Rob's sorry. But Rob, you got to think about this, right? You're saying receivers weren't getting open, but why weren't they getting open? It's not like it was, they're bringing 6 and you have 5 in the secondary. They're bringing 4, and now you're able to just flood the zones, right? You can play man underneath, play zone on top, and now these guys Mahomes can't get to those areas. And on top of that, the pass rush was getting there in 2.5 seconds? Yeah. So you're not giving him enough time for the play to develop. Go ahead, Stevie D.
Yeah, I think you just hit my point. The receiver could have been open early, but the pressure got there, and he couldn't make that throw because the pocket was collapsing, and he didn't feel comfortable. I could get it to the left side, right? And then the play was breaking down, and then it turned out to be a sack or an incomplete pass at that point because he was just kind of throwing it away at somebody's feet. Look, for me, Kelsey, because you brought his name up, Kelsey looked like he had zero interest. It's like when they booed Taylor Swift, he was done because he had no energy. There was a play that they highlighted. I saw a video of this online where there was a play where Mahomes, it was around midfield or so, and the pressure got to Mahomes, and Kelsey's just standing on the 50. Mahomes is kind of running around, and normally Kelsey kind of runs around to try and get on the spot. He's just standing on the 50 watching it. Where literally Mahomes was 3 yards away and went right past him to get a couple of yards. I just thought the energy in some players like Kelsey just wasn't there. I don't know. Maybe that's Kelsey's last game, and when they were getting blown out, he just didn't care. We talked about this. You play 50, right? Play 60 or whatever, and then you only have to play 50, right? And we talk about breaking the will of the other team. The Eagles broke that will at halftime because the Eagles at 20. There was no way the Chiefs were going to stop the Eagles from scoring in the second half, and then all of a sudden the Chiefs were going to put up these crazy points. I really do believe, especially coming out that first drive after halftime, they did nothing. And I said, this is it. It is over.
Alex,
Thank you, buddy.
Anthony.
I thought it was over that first drive of the second half when they couldn't do anything and they punted the ball away. I said, that's it. And just
So Stevie,
shocked at the effort.
I looked it up and Rob, yeah, you have some stats in here. So Sweat with 2.5 sacks, 6 tackles, 1 pass defended, but he also had Stevie D 6 pressures on 34 snaps. Josh Sweat is good, and his game was out of his mind. The Kansas City Chiefs offensive line all season has been poor or average, let's say average to subpar. So that really took, which is the strength of the Eagles, that allowed them to increase that gap, right? And now you make a guy who is good look superhuman, or very good look superhuman. I'll tell you, and this is not the homer in me, right? Because we lost, but I told you why we lost.
Your front four.
We lost because of our defensive line. If those guys would have come to play in that AFC Championship the same way that the Eagles came to play in the Super Bowl, the Bills would have been playing the Eagles. Because the Chiefs' offensive line is what failed them. It's what failed them. Rob, to your point about the receivers not getting open, like we said, Stevie D and myself both said, when Mahomes is in the pocket, he's not really sitting in the pocket any longer, right? It's 2.5, right? We can count it on air without dead air. 1,000, 1,000. I got a guy in my face that fast, right? I don't have time to be able to let any of my plays develop. And the only plays that really were open for them, and even at that, it wasn't that great. Would they have 40 yards at the half?
23.
What was
23.
it? 20. All right, there you go. At the half is because you had to go for the checkdowns or the underneath routes, and if the linebackers are filling that, so you can't really throw that type of a underneath or drag or something like that. Yeah, you're dead man walking out there.
Once Mahomes lost the trust in that offensive line, the game truly was over at that point. We've seen it with great quarterbacks. We've seen it with great quarterbacks when you give them the pressure.
Oh, wait. We need to stop. Stop. We need an alarm. Sorry, Stevie D.
Oh, congrats, Mr. J. Oh, Jay, we're happy for you, buddy.
There he is. If you don't know who that is, that's a former OW Sports co-host. That's Jay Diaz. Jay, congratulations, my friend. We should have had you on so you could be in all your glory talking about the Eagles and how overrated they are, going up against. No, Jay, I won't do that to you. Giving you some love. Yeah, giving you some love. I'm sorry, Stevie D. Go ahead.
I just no, I got nothing other than I'm really happy for Jay. If it can't be your team, my team, Jay, it's good. It's good that at least you took them out, and we stopped this whole three-peat nonsense and all that. And
Indeed.
like I said, I was just I here's another move I didn't like was a punk move. Travis Kelce not speaking to the reporters after the game. For what? Why would you skip it? You got your butt kicked. You didn't have a costly turnover. Okay, you had some drops early in the game, but that's what you do. And I just thought that was a punk move by Travis Kelce. And I lost a lot of respect for him because you're the one that's up in the podium when the game's over and you like to talk, and then you just
I don't disagree.
You step away.
I don't disagree.
To me, it's like man up. Like if you lost a heartbreaker in overtime and you're emotionally drained, I could give some credence to it. But you got blown out. Just stand in front of the microphone, right? There was not one play you can say that lost them the Super Bowl. They just got dominated by the Eagles. Just man up. Get in front of the microphone, own it. I give Mahomes credit. He spent 13 minutes on the podium, answered all the questions. Big difference.
You know, it's funny, and you said it. When you win, you're up there with your towel, your Gatorade, and you want to laugh and joke. To your point, man up, and you don't. It doesn't have to be that long.
No, because I think the requirement, is maybe like 5 minutes. I don't know what that timer is, but somebody alluded to that when they were talking about Mahomes, that he exceeded the time that you have to give. So there is a minimum amount of time you have to give to reporters at the end of the game. I just, you're a punk. You're a punk, Travis. And your outfit, you thought you were cool with that outfit. You were not cool with that outfit. You did not pull off that outfit before the game. I don't know what that was. You try to be like Joe Cool. No, you're not that. He is so not that. He is the opposite of cool. He tries too hard, and it comes across really bad. Comes across really bad. I don't know. He can't pull off the retro look. I don't know. It's not who you are. I don't know.
So the last thing I have on the game is I was really disappointed. Not because I bet on this, which I did take this prop bet, but I really, 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 Jay, I was pulling for you. I wanted the Eagles to win, but I wanted Saquon Barkley to go off. It just would have. We started the season with Hard Knocks. We could have closed the season with Hard Knocks because if Barkley could have gone off 150, 200, two tutties. Oh,
202 tutties. Woo!
oh man, could you imagine? Already the fact that he's in the game is bad enough. The fact that he went for 2,000, the fact that he had, most season or single yards or
Combined yards in 1 year for a running back. Yeah, yeah.
thank you. The fact that he had all of that, that's just bad, right? It's just bad. But if he could have got the ring and the MVP, that would have been the daily double.
Right, right. Yeah.
That would have been the daily double. I would have been able to go to sleep like a baby. I didn't not fall asleep, but oh boy, I would have been like a little baby. You know those memes where the guy's knocked out and they have like what he's dreaming of. Yeah, I would have thinking, oh boy, can't wait to see tomorrow. Joe Mara or John Mara, Joe Shane. So how's that working out for you, Joe?
I'm telling you, I would go to the marketing department behind Joe Shane's back, and I would get these big cardboard cutouts of him in an Eagle jersey, and like a life size with his jersey on, game, and put it there. Just
Yes. Yes. Yeah, indeed. You know, there is one more thing I want to say about this because Jay just brought this up, talking about Jalen Hurts, right, and all the naysayers, and I was explaining Jalen's path, right, because Jalen, if you remember, Jalen was the starting quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and got benched national championship game. Got benched. Now, truth be told, Jalen was not that good in the offense that they were calling and running there in Alabama, right? That gave Tua, his time to shine. Tua threw a laser in that game, right, for the game-winning touchdown. But then Jalen ends up going to Oklahoma, and that's where he really just blossomed. And you can't say, well, what happened? The light went on. No, the talent and the ability was always there. It was just the offense that they were running in Alabama really did not suit his game and his skill set. And next thing you know, he's sitting up, for the Heisman Trophy after throwing for like 5,000 yards, going absolutely bananas there. But then he comes to Philly, and he's sitting behind who Wentz, and he's waiting his turn, and then they started talking and chirping, and everybody wanted Jalen, but he never was recognized as that top tier quarterback, right? And he's always kind of been second. And it was nice to see him have on the biggest stage to have a really good game. So I did want to kind of acknowledge that, Jay, especially you put that up there. So, indeed.
And not for nothing. How about Howie Roseman as a GM? I like that guy. Every button that guy pushes, it's gold. He does an incredible job in the front office.
Oh, wow.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were, Jay. Oh, Carson Wentz, top 6 quarterback. You were not happy. That's right. Yes. At least you admitted on the show. Like we all know it. So kudos to you.
And now, when we tell you things, Jay, maybe you will heed the information because this is OW Sports, the number one source for your sports knowledge and information.
Yeah, we're pretty good on draft night too. We
We
are pretty darn good on draft night.
are. We are. I mean, you're back to back.
Yeah, yeah.
And mine turned out to be a bust. Ah,
Yeah.
I picked him, but oh boy, did I pick the wrong guy. He is a bust. Bad system. It just like I was talking about Jalen, at Alabama. The same is going for Kyer. All right, so let's put a bow on it because that's going to end 2025 season. But there are some things we're talking about as we head into 26. So, again, I guess the surprise they gave out all the awards. Forget the awards. The surprise team obviously has to be Minnesota. That Minnesota, you really did me dirty. You did me dirty. I was getting a rookie quarterback. I got your second round pick. I know it's going to be a high second round, and Darnold has the career year.
Finally, did something for the Jets.
I I figured I'd have back to back picks, right? What did you do? But definitely they were the surprise team. I have to say on the opposite end of the spectrum, Stevie D, you guys
Yeah.
take that one.
Oh yeah, I don't even think that. Maybe Cleveland would be the second, but I think it's clear cut. The Jets were the biggest disappointment by far, by
Yeah.
far.
When I look at the coaches that I guess you have to go with Kevin O'Connell, right? Just
Dude, there was a lot of great coaching jobs. Right?
yeah,
I mean, Dan Quinn in Washington. I mean, Kevin O'Connell did a great job. I'm not taking that away from him. I thought Dan Quinn, with a team that hasn't been to the playoffs in the turn of time, right? Oust the owner, bring in new ownership, rookie quarterback, overhaul the whole roster, and they win 12 games and a playoff game.
yeah. But
I,
you know what it was from. They got rid of Snyder,
right.
and it was like you ever. Well, I can attest to this. You ever burn something in the house, right? You leave something on the stove, and all of a sudden you have this odor and
Right.
smoke.
That stink. That stink.
You got that stench. And when they got rid of Snyder, it was like they opened up the doors and they opened the windows, and it's just fresh, and they were revitalized, right? I don't see Mark in here, but Mark's a big Commanders fan, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that organization can be proud of. What
You know,
exactly what happened?
I don't know much about the new owner, but Magic, I would not discount. Magic had a huge influence with the Los Angeles Dodgers because he's minority owner in the Dodgers, and he hangs around the team. I would not. I have to. You have to give some of that now to Magic because he hangs around the Commanders, and I'm sure he has a lot of influence in the building. Not necessarily, maybe with some with the players. Don't get me wrong, but in that building of building a winning culture, right? He was with the Lakers in Showtime. He came in with the Dodgers on the sale, and now look, his influence here in Washington should not be denied there as well. So I personally think Dan Quinn was coach of the year. Again, no disrespect to O'Donnell. My vote would have went to Dan Quinn. I just thought what he did with that team was greater than what O'Donnell did with Minnesota.
Yeah, for sure. Rob put up here, and did Bowers get snubbed for Rookie of the Year? I'm going to say no to that. When
Daniels had 6 wins with under a minute to go in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
Just let that sink in. 6 wins with under a minute to play.
and he's a rookie,
Yeah.
and he's a rookie. Yeah, second pick, but he's a rookie.
Yeah.
He came to that organization, and it dare I say, and I'm not drawing the same comparison from a statistical or potentially a career, but the same way Marino came into Miami as a rookie. He hadn't done the fake spike yet, so you're okay. You're okay. That happened later. That happened later. But it was like a breath of fresh air that came in there, right? You got rid of Greasy, you got rid of Strock was still there. But here's this young kid, and they just rallied around him. The same thing happened for Jaden Daniels, right? It was here he is, and they just rallied around him. So then later on, they learned how to, when you see a team with green and white on the opposite field, just fake like you're going to do that. Just go. I got you. I got you.
He took advantage of rookie Aaron Glenn on that play.
Oh, is that who it was?
Yeah, he got the rookie Aaron Glenn on that play.
Ooh. And speaking of Aaron Glenn, it's time for Stevie D segment. So Stevie D, let's venture over to the world of Jet Green.
Yeah,
there he is. There's our guy.
So, no official announcement's been made, but in talking with, chatting with a Jets fan, I told him we'd cover it, this week. Brad Manzo is his name. Was chatting with him on a Jets Facebook group, one team, our team, New York Jet fans. And so we were talking about the contract, and he I put a post on there saying there's money implications to this. And he said, well, how do you know what's inside the deal, inside the contract, right? You're giving a new deal. And it's not just a new deal. You just can't take an existing contract and just rip it up and think there's no consequences, right? When you're talking about signing Aaron Rodgers, okay? So when they signed Aaron Rodgers, they traded for Aaron Rodgers. That contract had no guaranteed money on it, but it still had money on the existing deal. That contract got torn up. In theory, right, it gets torn up. There's still money left on it. The Jets then redid that contract and gave it $112 million. In total, the contract was $112 million. Okay. So what the Jets did was, okay, if you look on this chart here, okay, you have 23, 24, and 25. And then you'll see the way they did it with the dead years, right? When you look at the money all the way up to 2028. Right?
Are you moving your mouse to try to highlight?
No, I wasn't. I was actually pointing at the screen. But if you look at it, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and then 28, right? It's really you're on the books for 6 years, because with that new money, you got him for $17.5 million on the first year. Aaron Rodgers is not playing for $17.5 million. Right? That's not the way the contract was written. Okay? The contract was written for him to make more money. It was just spread out over more years. So even when he's done playing from the Jets, he's still getting money from the Jets. Okay? The tax man always comes for the money. Right? So the Jets are not out of it. So when you think of here in 2025, you could cut him, which they are doing. Right? We just don't know if it's going to be a pre or post June 1. Most likely it's going to be a post June 1, because so they can take a $14 million hit this year, and they can take $35 million next year if they wanted to, or they can just take the 49 and call it a day, and to take the 49 this year. Okay.
We talked about that.
Yes.
I would take it now.
I would take it all now and be done with it, get out from underneath it.
Yep.
Okay. this is where it gets interesting. Okay, if he were to play on this contract in 2025, okay, and he plays the whole year, it doesn't get cut. The Jets, if you look at the money, okay, are on the hook for $63 million, and then you have to add the 14 and the 7 for the two line items for 2027 and 2028. That's $84 million that you got to pay him. Now I hear from Jet fans, tear up the contract, redo the contract. So all we're doing now, if you tear up that contract, you're still on the hook because he's on the roster. You're still on the hook for the 84 plus any new money you're adding to the contract because you want to spread it out. That 84 doesn't go away. You may be able to spread that 84 plus whatever money. So then you'll be adding years to years 29 and 30, and you're never going to get out from underneath this contract. Okay, so you just can't tear it up and redo it. I think it's important to see these numbers here on how that works when we're talking about his contract. And personally, you just said it. You're moving on. Take the $49 million. For me, there's only so much money I can allocate to a quarterback position. So I'm going into the season, and the Jet fans are going to hate me on it and send me the hate mail. But I want the money for our core players to re-sign. I would go with Tyrod Taylor as the starting quarterback. I would draft, if I could, the kid Dart from Ole Miss, let him compete with Jordan Travis as the number 2, and let Taylor go as the number 1. And understand that that's the way it's going to be because you got to get out from underneath the contract. We have too many important contracts when it comes to Garrett and Sauce and Jermaine Johnson and Breece Hall, who I think Breece Hall is going to be traded in the offseason. That's just my gut feel is that he's going to get traded. But we have some bigger contracts. You got Vera Tucker's contract going on the 50-year option. You're going to want to start looking at what you want to do with re-signing him to play right guard for the future. So really with Aaron Rodgers, can he still spin the football? Absolutely. He can still throw the football. I think the mobility, what you saw towards the end of the year, that's the best you're going to get. I think he was healthy with the hamstrings and the ankle. You saw some flexibility coming where he's rolling out a little bit better. But he's 42 years old, just like Tom Brady. Father Time gets you all. He missed plenty of wide receivers. He gets locked into a wide receiver like Devontae Adams. You miss wide open receivers because you want to get it to your guy. That hurts the Jets. It's kind of like what you were saying with Josh Allen, right? You feel like you have to get 12 to 13 targets to your number 1 a game. And you may hurt your team because you're looking for that one person, and you're missing these other 2 or 3 receivers that could be open. And that's what I saw when I go back and watch the tape on Aaron Rodgers. He's locking in on certain players for that route, and he's missing the underneath for 10 or 15 yards that he had somebody wide open, but he's waiting for another route because he wants to get it to a receiver.
Is that because of a lack of confidence and a lack of trust in the other guys and really has more?
Yeah, I think there's some of that, right? I thought that he trusted Alan Lazard a lot. And Lazard played better this year with Aaron Rodgers than he did the previous year. But I got Garrett Wilson, and him and Rodgers were not on the same page. It was, I think 60% of Garrett Wilson's passes were at or around the line of scrimmage. They just were not in sync with the way Rodgers wants it. And he wants you to run a certain route. He expects you to be there. And it just didn't work there with Garrett Wilson. So at the end of the day, he's gone. He'll get the post 1 designation. And I personally think he's played his last down in the NFL because I don't know who's going to take a 42-year-old.
So Stevie D, that's not the only thing happening there. And real quick, before we go to this one, though, so Rob had asked a question, and we had talked about this a little bit. So any truth to the notion that the made him?
Mm-hmm. I believe that wholeheartedly was the truth. I think Aaron Glenn is from the school of Bill Parcells, and he doesn't want anything with Pat McAfee. He doesn't want any of the Jet information getting out to the public. I think it's a distraction that he doesn't want as a rookie coach, and he's setting the law down. So I think there's a lot with that. I think also with coming in with a new offensive coordinator, we want you on the voluntary and mandatories. But again, with all that being said, there's no way Aaron Rodgers was going to be on this roster. Not with that dollar value coming. It's catastrophic to your team. Look, Sean Payton was not there for the trade of Russell Wilson. Okay, Russell Wilson was there before Sean Payton got there. Okay, what did he do in his first season? He set the tone. There is no divas here, right? And then after the 1 year, he was gone, right? He was gone. And he took the $80 million hit or whatever it was to cut him. I think Aaron Glenn's coming in here and saying, I don't want, with the GM, Moogie, I don't want that cap hit. So we can say all of this, but I really do believe it's about the money. Follow the money. And when Aaron Glenn speaks to, on the podium, right, his introductory, and he talks about sustained success. You cannot have sustained success if you're giving money away in a dead cap year after year for a player who's not on your roster and won't be on your roster for years to come, and you're still paying on it. You need that money to retain your talent, right? Or attract other free agents, depending on how you manage your salary cap, right?
Sure.
So right now, the Jets are at $80 million with the cut of Aaron Rodgers and dead cap money. Take the hit this year and move on. Don't spread it out over years. Look, the Jets haven't been in the playoffs since 14. It's not going to kill us for one more year, right? Where Aaron Glenn can establish a culture, get everything going, and then, again, you draft the quarterback, let him sit. So in year 2, hopefully that quarterback is ready to go, understands the system, and then you attack it in year 2.
So Stevie D, you guys did some hiring.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit. You know, that's
the job fair. All right. Candidates welcome. Bring your resume. I'm looking for one name on here, and I don't see it. That would be Stevie D. And
it's BS. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I don't understand where Aaron Glenn's head's at. But, it is what it is. I didn't take it personal. I was a little disappointed, but I didn't take it personal.
Did you get called back for a second interview?
No. I got ghosted.
Did you get called for a first interview?
I got ghosted.
Okay.
So anyway, but here's our new staff. There's a lot of new names. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't done all my homework on all these guys to find out, their whole history and all their background. It's interesting. You see Dre Bly, right, as assistant defensive back coach. So that is a name from my youth, if you will, Dre Bly. But they retained Sean Jefferson as wide receiver coach. But some of the interesting coaching hires. Charles London, I thought was interesting. Steve Hayden, he came from Detroit. He was a tight ends coach, and now he's the offensive line coach. So I thought that was interesting. Kind of, how does the tight end coach relate and become an O-line coach? I thought that was interesting. But he's got some history with Aaron Glenn over there. But it's I don't think we have a deep, great named coaching staff, right? And so we're going to see what happens. But I will say is coaches are unknown until they get a really good opportunity. So we'll see if any of these names on here take that leap forward and make a name for themselves, right? Could that be, Scott Turner's the passing game coordinator? Could it be, Charles London as the quarterback coach, right? Oh yeah, Eric Washington. Yeah, we got. Yeah.
But actually, Rob, he was with Chicago. He had left us to go to Chicago. So maybe he took the job as a spy. Still working for McDermott.
But those are our coaches. We'll see. A lot of debate around Jet fans about these coaches. Who are these guys? And some people like them. Some people are like, oh, that's it. Aaron Glenn, we don't know what we're doing. And it's like, outside of Brian Schottenheimer, right? Because I don't understand that hire in Dallas. I really don't. I can't sit here and say Aaron Glenn cannot be a good head coach. It's unfair to him to say that he can't. Time will tell. I think it's how you handle, going into the draft, free agency, going into the draft, how you handle your OTAs and your mini camps, right? What kind of tone do you set for that roster? And I think Aaron Glenn has a really good mentor in Bill Parcells. Obviously, he learned a lot from Sean Payton, and he's going to do his thing. But I just like that he's got a confidence in Bill Parcells that he can call up and say, "Hey, coach, I got to ask a question." And I think when you have somebody like that in your corner that you can just call up and have that conversation, that's gold for any young coach, right? You're stepping into the big seat, and so it's just awesome to have a mentor that you can do that. So we'll see. We got a lot. We got a
Who
lot.
is this? Who? Aaron. Aaron who?
Yeah. Well, according to the way the legend went, the owner called Bill Parcells. Woody Johnson called. Mike Tannenbaum, they called him. They want to call. And they asked him, if you were hiring coach, who would you go after? And he just said Glenn. He didn't say Aaron Glenn. He said Glenn. And so, a lot of praise from Bill.
Is it your middle name, Glenn?
Mine?
Yeah, he was talking about you.
My resume must have got mixed up in the pile.
Any way you can go back to Woody and be like, Woody, he met me.
Well, I don't think Woody's going to take my call after what I blew up his Twitter account. I don't think he's going to be taking my call anytime soon.
Fair enough. Career limiting decisions, right? This here at OW Sports, we not only try to bestow wisdom of sports, but just of life in general, right? And sometimes you have to weigh risk versus reward and know what potentially could be a career limiting decision. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce Stevie D. Career limiting decision. Had a chance to sit in the big seat.
I mean, it was tiny, but it's like they say. So I got a chance, right?
So Stevie D also with the Jets. We haven't talked this much Jets football in I don't know how long.
Yeah. Well, because we haven't earned it because we were, done by week 8.
But Stevie D, take us to the 2025 free. Oh, I like how you did this year. All right, very nice.
So, the free agents. Who's not a free agent on the Jets? I mean, we're over 50%, right? We got 28 free agents. Now, there's different levels of free agency, right? And I'm not going to cover every name, but I thought there's a few people that I thought they would bring back. I think Tyler Conklin is a guy that for a young quarterback, if they're going to go that direction, or even for somebody like Tyrod Taylor, who's a veteran, I like Tyler Conklin's hands. I think he's a sure-headed tight end. I still think we have to get better at that position. You'll see we have Kenny Yabua, who's another tight end on the list as a free agent. You'll bring him back. He's like $1 million guy. I could see them, bringing him back for depth. But Jeremy Ruckert is probably a casualty to be cut, the Long Island kid. But I put a star next to Tyler Conklin because I think that's somebody you got to bring back.
So the void is that what you're saying, that it's going to be a
no, that's what it was listed where I grabbed the free agents. Void meaning I don't know. They were on maybe a rework deals or something. I don't know. Maybe there's some dead money associated with their contracts that's on the books, but they're not holding to the Jets. Like DJ Reed, he's unrestricted. He can go and sign with anybody. But I honestly don't know why it says void there next to those guys' names. Because we actually have a few of them. We even have West, the backup center guard. But Tyler, I would bring back Ashton Davis as safety for depth. Again, not going to cost you a lot of money. Jamie Sherwood, this is going to be an interesting one. So he took over for C.J. Mosley at middle linebacker. Now, Jet fan base, including myself, I like Jamie Sherwood. Okay, Jamie Sherwood he has to improve his communication on the field. Okay, he did. from a pure tackling standpoint, okay, when you talk about communication and putting your players in the right spots as the Mike linebacker, I thought he had lots of room to improvement. Now, in fairness to him, this was his first time starting in the NFL, right? He really got his feet wet with it. But again, to me, he lacks that experience of communication. When you watch CJ out there, he's a tactician with his communication. Okay, I think Jamin's got some work to do, but I don't think you can let him go. The caveat with Jamin Sherwood is Ulbrich with the Falcons. I think Ulbrich is going to try and bring him to Atlanta. If he leaves the Jets, I feel he's going to Atlanta is where he'll land. But I would like to see him back. Brandon Eccles, I think, is another great depth corner. I think he's underrated for the Jets. I think he's a really good depth signing for corner. And then Irv Charles, he's our special teams guy. And you say, wow, that's who you picked for your 5? Well, I only had 5 stars to deal with. So, but, like Sheffield, again, depth signing. I mean, Bruce Hector, depth signing. But, look, you're not going to bring back Hassan Reddick. DJ Reed has really said their goodbyes because, now granted, that was before the new regime came in. DJ's getting older in years. He wants to get paid. He played well. Here's what I'll say about DJ Reed, about the character of an individual. Okay, at the last game of the year against Miami, there was a play where he could have that play's over. That's a touchdown. He ran it down all the way across the field, tackled the guy at like the 3-yard line. Okay, a play he could have gave up 50 yards ago. Okay, that speaks to his character of who he is. That in a meaningless game at the end, he went and chased it down. And I think somebody made a comment on Twitter about it, about DJ Reed mailing it in, and DJ Reed went back and he put the clip. I don't mail anything in. I play, and that's what I'll miss about DJ Reed because he really was a very good Jet. I just think at the end of the day, age and money, it doesn't play. There's an old saying that Bill Belichick would say, I'd rather get rid of a player a year too early than a year too late. And I think DJ is fitting into that, where he still thinks he's premium dollars, and maybe somebody will give him a good contract, but you're going to regret that money on DJ Reed. So other than that, Solomon Thomas, great dude, right? He's been on Walter Payton Man of the Year finalist 2 years for the Jets. Great guy in the community. No, he's got to go. Morgan Moses. Love Morgan. He's old, breaking down. He's got to go. Tyron Smith can't even stop a nosebleed. That was a huge disappointment at left tackle. To me, he was the reason why Aaron got so banged up early in the year. And then everybody else is kind of like, okay, Chuck Clark, you're a Salas guy. You won't be back. Jalen Mills, former Eagle, Jay, I thought he was a nice signing, and then he came in for injuries, and he did well. And I also like Isaiah Oliver. I think he's another guy that if I had another star, I would have given it to Isaiah Oliver. So that's pretty much, our free agent list. Again, it's nothing great. We have a lot of young kids still on the contract that they have to make up their mind, right? I think the Jets and this GM better get their head out of their butt and figure out how they're going to re-sign Sauce and Garrett and get these deals done and move on. Because, again, those contracts still have to play out on the rookie deal. So any money you give them now, it's going to be added on after the rookie deal, like that 5th year and beyond. But this money is already locked up. You're not going to redo that.
So, Stevie D, Rob said, so with the losses, what do you do in the first round?
Offensive line.
It's a great question. You can't go quarterback.
Offensive line.
Yeah.
Offensive line. You have to solidify and you have to get young.
Yeah.
And we have a hole at right tackle. I need a right tackle. Because I'll have Olu.
But earlier I heard you mention Dart. So
he's a 2nd or 3rd rounder. He's not an early quarterback.
You're still going quarterback?
Later in the draft. I think if he's
Isn't
there
that
later in the draft, they'll
a
take him.
wasted pick, though?
Well,
Isn't that going to be a wasted pick if you do that later on? Because you need depth. I mean, you just listed. What did you say? 28?
28. 28.
28.
Look, but again, you may bring back some of those guys. You may steal some guys from Detroit. You may steal guys from other coaches that played on other teams. You're going to have X amount of guys. Not in Buffalo. We don't want anybody from Buffalo.
Oh, who you get from Detroit?
Players, coaches.
No,
We
I'm talking about players.
those depth signing guys. Those guys that are like,
I thought you were going to talk about
40,
try to go
42.
get Aiden.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want Aiden. I don't want Gibbs. I don't want to see those
Yeah,
guys.
no. We're not getting those guys. Those guys are on the contract. But you're going to find guys that fit your scheme, know your language that you want to bring over, right? And then they'll replace some of those guys that were on the Jets, and they'll go follow Olbrick or Sala to San Francisco. So it's just I think they're going to go. I want them to go offensive line. It's not sexy. It's 7, but it is. Unless Travis Hunter falls to 7, you better take Travis Hunter, right? But the reality is we have to go line because you're going to have Olu, an old man at left guard. You got a young center in Tippmann. You got a young right guard in Vera Tucker, 4 years in the league. And then you're going to have the rookie at right tackle and let these guys grow together and rebuild that line. That because this patchwork the Jets have done for the last 8 years on the offensive line, once Ferguson and Mangold retired, Brandon Moore retired, right? That old guard went down. We have not found a good line in the last 8 years. We haven't had one. Solid line. You know it in Buffalo. When you got that solid line, it opens up everything. And you look at Mahomes in the Super Bowl. I don't care how great you think you are. If you're getting that pressure up front and you're getting knocked around, that you make a quarterback very average. And that's what Mahomes looked like. Take away the last 3 minutes of the game with the garbage touchdowns. He was average, below average in that game. And it just goes to show you have to fix that. If you don't fix it, we're going to be another 5-win team just alone because our quarterback doesn't have time to find a receiver. So,
All right. So now we flip to the other side. Stevie D, I don't have as many free agents like you do, but I have some gaping holes, right? And they are huge. The good thing is that when you look at the Bills, the offensive line is going to be back intact. That's good, right? I still got my MVP, number 17 in your program, but number 1 in your heart at quarterback. So I'm good there. Now, what do I do at my wide receiver position? Don't know. Amari Cooper probably will not be brought back. If we look at, you're going to have the rookie Keon, you're going to have Mac Hollins, you're going to have Shakir, but I still have some holes to fill. There's some guys that played in were practice squad guys, training camp guys who everybody, like a Justin Shorter, everybody wanted to see promoted. But do you go after the top tier wide receiver? Right? That's the question. And I say no. I say no. You saw what happened. Right? I don't have to force the ball to you 15 times a game. Spread it out. But I need to have speed. That is what that wide receiving core is lacking is speed. We need somebody to take it over the top. I wonder if there's anybody that set a combine record that's going to fall to the 28th pick. I don't know. Let me scratch my head, Mr. Brandon Beam. Oh, no. We're just going to go ahead and trade that pick with Kansas City and let the guy with the 4.140 just go flying down the field. We need speed. We have to get that. Speed kills. They say it all the time, right? And all you got to do is hit on it. I think I heard a stat that Josh was 26%. Rob, you may be able to confirm this as well on the deep passes, right? So then in that case, if you get the speed, it opens it up for Coleman. It opens it up for Shakir, right? Because now the safeties have to respect that. So if there's going to be anything that they do, Definitely go for speed. The rumors floating around, the rumors is James Cook wants 15 mil a season.
Is he eligible for the rework of the contract?
Well, it could be reworked,
No, well,
but
I read your rookie contract. He was a first or second rounder or something like that.
second,
Second round, but he's tied to you for 4 years
yes,
on that rookie deal. I don't think you can touch that rookie deal. You can add on years 5 and 6. I don't know if you can tear up a rookie deal.
they so they can redo it, but he wants 15. He wants 15 per. That's a tough number. Tough number. However, I just saw Hard Knocks. I am not going to have James Cook playing for the Patriots, Dolphins, or Jets. You've signed him, Brandon Bean. I don't care what you do. But,
No,
it's
James, listen to me, James. Don't play any games. Just go after what you want. If it's 15, 17, make the Bills pay it. Make them pay it. If they don't want to pay it, just go somewhere outside of the AFC East. That's all I ask. Okay.
okay. That segment was just completely destroyed by that nonsense. No, and so then you go to the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to be nice, right? I'm going to skip the defensive line, right? Go to my linebackers. I'm good at my linebackers. We need to redo the entire secondary, right? Maybe Benford stays. Douglas, and I'll bring it up in a minute. Douglas is a free agent. I need new safeties. I need to get a corner. I have Johnson is my nickel, so I'm good there. In Christian Benford, but outside of that, I need to replace everybody.
So Benford is under contract. Johnson is under contract. Rasul Douglas, is he
So,
unrestricted or
well,
restricted?
let me go to this. Let me go here, and we can answer some of the questions. Right. So, yeah, Rasul Douglas, he is an unrestricted free agent. Damar Hamlin is an unrestricted free agent. Unfortunately, Taylor Rapp, he is under contract, right? And so that one kind of hurts because I would like to get stronger there in my safety spot. I'll replace both, just like I did when I brought in Poyer and Hyde. Right, get the two to come in and they mesh and they play. Um, so yeah, my check marks are the guys I'm bringing back. But the good thing is with my check marks, they're not going to cost me a whole lot of money, right? So you don't see any of the mega big names that are out there, which is good. So we're able to bring back some of that depth. When you look at the defensive tackles, obviously there's three: Johnson, Phillips, and Jefferson. I just love Jordan Phillips, right? And he just loves Buffalo. And when you got a guy that just loves to play for that team, it's infectious. Now he may not be the best defensive tackle that's out there, right? And I get it, but I'm not asking you to be a 40, 50 down player, right? I'm not asking you for that. You are rotational, truly rotational. And so, I got to bring him back.
Right, and you need those guys,
You
right?
do.
So it's not like you're asking the Bills to do something they don't need.
You
You got
do.
to have them.
When I look at Ty Johnson, Reggie Gilliam, so Reggie is probably the most unknown of this list, right? He's the fullback. For some reason, we decided to use him late in the season, but he's a solid fullback, right? And so that's a no brainer. You keep him there. Ty Johnson gives you that third down, that speed. You know all about Ty.
I love Ty Johnson.
There,
Love
so
Ty Johnson.
that's good. And then Mac Hollins, you get a thumbs up, Mac Hollins, right? Because before the season started, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. We got some journeyman wide receiver coming in. You have got. I was upset.
And that's an understatement. Okay, you got to remember, Vince and I talk all the time, and Mac was on the bad list. Oh
Yeah,
my
oh yeah.
god!
I just did not agree with it. Didn't believe in it. But I'll tell you what, Mac Hollins made a believer, of it, right? And I think he may have made a believer of many more GMs out there saying, how did we miss on this guy? And it kind of goes to show you at times that um, sometimes somebody just needs a shot. They need somebody to believe in them, just like Rex believed in Tyrod Taylor, right? Tyrod was forever going to be the backup, and Craig, if you're still here, this was just forever going to be the backup there in Baltimore. Comes to Buffalo, has you know decent to good years, right? Pro Bowl years, and it's been able to parlay that into a very long career in the NFL. I'm not saying Mac Hollins is going to be a 15-year vet. I'm not saying that, but you need somebody to believe in you. And once the front office and the coaching staff started to believe in him, and then his play in practice, Josh started to believe in him. You saw Josh go into him in crucial situations. For as a quarterback, you only go to the guys that you have trusted. And for him to go to Mac Hollins and for him to make those catches, right? We're so used to Gabe Davis, who I like Gabe, but we're used to Gabe Davis in those same situations dropping the ball. Right now, we kind of shorthanded.
And Mac really improved from week one. Every week it just seemed like he got better because it was a little shaky there in the beginning, a little inconsistent, and then all of a sudden it's just like it just clicked, and then he was just making huge play, not a big play, huge plays, huge. Just good for him, right?
Yeah,
Good for him.
absolutely. And then there's, you look at the offensive line. There's only one guy listed as unrestricted. I say you bring back Tommy Doyle, right? You keep that crew intact. That is Josh's best friend, and that's
Oh, they
Steve.
brought back Alex Anderson.
Yes,
I don't know if you saw that. That they
yes,
did bring him back.
yep,
Oh, the
yep.
exclusive rights. That's what that was. Okay.
And the key thing there is he's like your swing, kind of like your swing, right? So he's good for us, right? He comes in those jumbo packages and does a lot of things. Plus, another good locker room guy.
Oh,
So
you're missing something on him. He's a guy that doesn't take no crap on the field either. So he's like your enforcer, like they have in hockey. He's kind of like that enforcer. He'll stick his nose somewhere and protect the player.
he will, but he's got Spencer Brown to beat to it because Spencer will get there
Dude,
first.
that man is a large man, Spencer Brown.
He is.
Large man.
He is. So when you look at the list, right, the big name probably is going to be Cooper, but Cooper was just a rental, right? Cooper was, oh my God, Kansas City just got DeAndre Hopkins. Go get Amari Cooper. That's what that was. He
And
had,
that was a good trade for $1 million. That was like a flyer. Like, all
but
right, I can get it for $1 million.
but you never really used them,
Huh?
right? And so early on, people were like, oh, now they got that number one, and it opened it up. But then by the time, 2 or 3 weeks went down, and plus he had hurt the wrist and everything else, they realized they're not going to this guy, right? So what's his big play? He was part of the lateral for Josh, against the 49ers because he caught the ball and then lateral it to Josh. So Cooper's gone. Douglas, I liked when we traded for Douglas. We needed corner help, made it. It was a good trade. He came in and he filled a void. But now, we are at the point, not only because we made it to the AFC Championship, but and I hate the window open, closing stuff, but let's be real, people. Every year, the players get older. This core that we have that has championship aspirations and they have championship ability, they're getting older and older. So you have got to solidify certain key positions. It's a passing league. Douglas is good, but I want better. And that's why I don't have Douglas as a resign. DeMar Hamlin, good story. As I told you many times, that's the Disney movie, right? It's going to be coming out in theaters, Christmas of 2026. And I can appreciate it. DeMar got screwed. Should have got comeback player of the year twice and got screwed. All right. Well, now that that's over, let's look at the actual team. What do? There's not a place on the roster for you. You had 3 interceptions. I get that. But man, Stevie D, you and I both could have made those interceptions because those were overthrows, right? It's not like you read the play. Like I'll never forget the Micah Hyde interception, right? Just it gets New England. It just comes out of nowhere, right? It makes this great pick. That wasn't DeMar Hamlin, right? You made a tackle against Mahomes in the AFC Championship game. You didn't step up to make the tackle. You waited for him at the goal line to make the tackle, which at that point the ball crossed the goal line. Good player, good story. Thank you. I appreciate you. If you need to, front office job when everything's over, we'll welcome you with open arms. And then lastly, that doesn't have a check is Quentin Morris. Quentin's been with
Who?
us. Quentin Morris, tight end. He's been with us quite some time now and has been very reliable. But I think I want more, right? And I see Robin posted in here about that as well, right? So we
You
saw.
wanted more, dude. You got good tight ends with Knox and
Well,
Kincaid.
I want more. I want more.
Is he a receiver or is he a blocker?
He's more of the blocking, right? But the reason why I say I want more is that Knox is a very physical, and Knox gets hurt, right? We've seen Kincaid now; he's been hurt a couple times. I'm not going to call him glass. I'm not going to call him fragile, right? But even though you're listed as third on the depth chart, you're getting number 2 reps more often than not. And so unfortunately, you've been here for a while. I have to say it's time for you to go. So that would be how I would start my negotiations, right? I kind of lock up some of the cores for certain reasons. And then, I'm going to go heavy in the market. And I'm telling you, Brandon Bean, make the trade. Make the trade.
No.
Make the trade.
That would be a such a game changing, almost power shift in the AFC if you got Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
Right. Teams to get over a hump. Like you said it. Your defensive line did not show up in the game they needed to show up on.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. I forgot. I was talking about the changes we had to make. Yeah, this is what happens when you get old. I forgot. Let's start by who are we cutting and saving money? Von Miller, AJ Epinesa, Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau. Who else do I need to let go?
Oh, you're not cutting Ed Oliver.
All of them, get out.
But if you bring in a guy like Myles Garrett, those guys may, show more because they got to pay more attention to Myles Garrett.
I don't want him. I am so sour. That Super Bowl really just bothered me. I was happy that the Chiefs were losing. Yes, right? But it bothered me because I'm watching a team, no disrespect to the Eagle fans that are out there, but I'm watching a team dominate a team that I know that we could have dominated. I know it. I know we have the guys when they want to play that can play. We've seen Rousseau be dominant. We saw Epinesa when it was contract time be dominant. We saw Ed Oliver, contract time, be dominant. So you've done it. And when you don't do it, then I have to question what are your motives and where is truly your heart? You are one game away from playing in the Super Bowl. If you can't get up for that game, I don't want you. I don't need you.
Well, I think it's hard to replace your whole D line in all season, right?
It is.
Right. But if when we talk about change, what is, and you said it, the defensive line, you need that change maker type player to come in. Maybe not only because of his play, maybe there's things that can elevate other players in the locker room at practice, right? That is helping the other D linemen. Maybe it's helping them to change a focus to what they're doing because you got a guy like Myles Garrett that's got a high motor, wants to win, and maybe he can take other people underneath their wing to help coach them up, because you need change, people that embrace the change, and you need somebody to help the team get over that hump.
What you need, what you need, are at least two guys that are lunch pail guys. They come to work every day and they bust it, right? If you look at their Madden rating, they're probably a 72, 73. But you know that you are getting maximum effort every single down that they're out there. That's what you need. That in turn allows the Miles Garrett, right, to be able to do what he wants to do. Hopefully, the Miles Garrett on the Bills, right? But that allows him to do what he needs to do, because he's going to get double teamed. You know that, right? But if I got a guy that's a lunch pail guy, he's going to put in good work. He's going to put in good
He's
work.
going to put the dirty work in that others may not want to do.
Exactly. And then that helps the guy on the other side, right? And you always hope, like we thought that Ed Oliver was going to be more than a lunch pail guy, but he's not. He's not. These guys, just like Rob posted here, right? This is a great stat, right? Against the Rams, 2 tackles. How do you disappear? There was something riding on that game, right? The number 1 seed was riding on that game. And we lost it, and then everything was over. How do you not show up? I can't have guys on the team that say, I think I'm going to take the day off. And how many times over the past few weeks, right, over the show, where I have gone off on the defensive line being missing, let alone Von Miller. You know what, Von, I'll give you the excuse. You're old. You're coming off a bad injury. Not going to be the same, right? It's more the name on the back than the player inside that jersey, right? So people fear that. You get one good spin move a game. You better pick and choose the right time to use that spin move, right? Because after that, that's it. It's all you get, right? It's like the turbo. When you're playing Madden, you only have so much acceleration that you can do, and then after that, it's gone. And that's what Von, right? He only has one spin move. So do we use it in the first quarter? No, we better save it for the fourth quarter, right? When to unleash it? Now, go, Von, and you hope that it works, right? But you're not; those guys did not show up, and more than anything, Stevie D, more than anything, when you are talking about either the champion, well, really any game in the second season, right? But when you're talking about the championship game, more than anything, because you can look over the top and you can see the Super Bowl over the horizon. It's right there. You can reach out and touch it. I just need you to produce. And when you don't show up for that game, I don't want you. I go back to the lunch pail guy. That lunch pail guy is going to show up. I may not win, but I know I'm getting maximum effort. And that's what I want from the guy.
So do you see a big overhaul? Can they do the overhaul, not knowing what the money's tied up to? Like Ed Oliver's got a pretty big contract, right? But a Daquan Jones or an Epinesa, can you get out of those contracts to bring in new blood? No. So you have to roll with those guys and hope that you make a trade for Miles Garrett.
Maybe dump AJ Epinesa. Here, you can have him. That would be nice. Didn't want him in the first place. I second guess myself giving you kudos, AJ Epinesa. Fooled me. You fooled me. You fooled me. So, Stevie D, we're not over yet. We're not over yet, but we wanted to acknowledge everybody that has been part of this, right? And first, we're going to start out by saying, okay, a big thank you. We want to say thank you to all of you who have been out there to help make OW Sports what it is. We talk about it all the time, right? The podcast was conceived really by a phone call I had with Dwayne Walker one day, and Dwayne was like, "Hey V," that was my WHCT name, right? Hey V. I was like, "What's up, Dwayne?" And he's like, "You should do that podcast. You ever think about doing that?" And I was like, "Nope, never thought about it. I'm not going to do it." About an hour later, "Hey Steve, what's going on?" Let's do a podcast, right? And Stevie D was like, "Okay, I'm down, right? How do we do this, right?" And we were trying to figure it out, logistics, right? Almost 2,000 miles away. How are we going to get this? Who's going to do it? And we brought some insight as far as some of the folks that have been with us over the years. But at the end of the day, we have stayed true to what the podcast for us was all about. The podcast was about two guys who are sitting in a bar talking sports.
Every once in a while, doing some talking.
It does happen. It does happen.
Well, I mean, that's what it is, right? Just talking sports. I mean, mainly football. We talk other sports as well, even off the podcast. But it's football dominates. That is for darn sure.
It is. It is. And we have fun about it. You see the laugh. It's infectious. We have been laughing for 20 plus years, right?
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it's been crazy, right? Where did we meet? At a sports bar. It was a work function, but at a sports bar, right? And then we started, of course, football's on the screen. We started talking, right? And then started seeing everything. And so that kind of morphed into where we are today. And every year we've done something to try to make the podcast a little bit better, right? And we want to take big strides, but sometimes slow and steady wins the race, right? And so, we've gone from the audio, we've gone to now the live stream, and really has opened it up to all of you, which is so much appreciated. And just more than anything, Stevie D, just some name of some names, right? So we have the newest member to Bill's Mafia in Nesmita, so we want to say thank you, Nesmita.
What
We
paid
want
for on that one? What paid for on that one?
Whoa, easy, easy. Want to say thank you to Big Rich and thank you to Mrs. D. Thank you, Mrs. D. Uh, we want to say thank you to our moms, right? Our moms either watch and sometimes they even type in some things in there. So, want to say thank you to our moms. And this isn't a going away or anything like that, right? We want to say thank you to the Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you, Philly, right? We hope you were watching the podcast as we were getting started. But then, just a whole lot of other people, Anthony and Rob and Joey, Terry, some of our longtime ones, right? You had Alex and John C. Craig, Mr. Raven himself. Craig, thank you. Demetrius, Mark, Ken, Laura, who's a newcomer here. Laura, and you chat a lot. We appreciate you. And then Brian, DJ Coles, Kevin, guys, thank you very much. And so all the interactions that we've had with you guys, so much, we appreciate it so much. Um, and it's fun to be able to go back and forth, and it's fun to see some of the comments, even though sometimes, Rob, you're on the verge of getting banned, but you made it through without getting banned, Rob. So you did a good job. And then CBD, we've had some guests that have come on, right? Had such a great time with Derek Burrows. And if you haven't seen the Derek Burrows interview, please, please, please go back and check it out. Former Buffalo Bill, who is now, in his second season of life, if you will, right? And in college athletics. But it was such a great interview. And people still, you heard Dwayne a few weeks ago, but people still who have seen the interview have commented on it, and it's really good. I'm wondering how
Tremendous story by Derek Burrows.
Absolutely.
Tremendous story. Actually,
Did you get the book? There it is. Very good.
it's a great read. Whether you're a Buffalo fan or not, it doesn't really matter. Just a story, a real life story. It's more than just football, right? It's the human side of it and the emotions of everything that he went through, and the feelings that he had, or went through, or still going through. Right, it's just an incredible story. You definitely, if you're looking for a book to read, and you're a football person, and you want to hear real life, that is a book, Erased from History, the Derek Burrow story. So, you can get it on Amazon. Just a
Great call
great
out.
interview.
Great call out. And then I want to thank Dwayne Walker. Again, Dwayne for putting us on here, but also Dwayne filled in, right? And did a great job. And Dwayne, we appreciate you. And last but not least, Sean the Glue Barber, who was noticeably absent from today's podcast. I wonder why.
Honestly, I didn't even think about texting him to come on the show. If I text him, he would have come on. He would know. I hate from that.
Noticeably absent. I saw how you
Actually,
came
you know what's so
after
funny?
Bill's game. Huh?
You know what's so funny? My whole Facebook feed of everybody in Kansas City on Super Bowl Sunday, nothing. My face whenever they're playing a playoff game gets lit up. My Facebook feed was quiet. It was crickets. I could not believe it. At work, quiet. Nobody really talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, it's good, and we had a great season 7, and definitely looking forward to season 8. Looking forward to hopefully, I know you're hoping your Jets take it all the way. Hopefully, my Bills can take it all the way. We're starting out 0
Just give me a winning
0.
record. Just give me a winning record.
Well, we started out 0-0, right? And so we're all on an even playing. The real season starts now. It really does, because the scouts, the front office, the GM, the coaches, it's time for them to go to work. And so the season starts now. And unfortunately, my guy is still there. So I'm going to have to hope that other players can kind of trust their own process and be a little bit better. But Stevie D, as we've gone through all of the thank yous, I know there's some folks that we've missed, and please, sorry that we missed you, but we won't miss you next time. And we want to say again, thank you to everybody. We enjoy doing this. We're going to be back, bigger, better, and ever, right? Like the $6 million man.
I want to thank you. Right, there's a lot of stuff that you do on this show. You are the glue for us, for you and I. You do a lot of work, a lot more, than I. You run the command center, and to do a podcast to run the command center for people that have never done it before, it's not easy. All those screens that you see, Vince puts it together. The audio clips, all that stuff that you see, my man Vince handles all that. And he just does a tremendous job with it. Even though he hits the button on me every now and again, I'm not saying I didn't earn it, but just thank you to you and all you do to make this podcast run. And so I salute you.
I appreciate you. So that is going to wrap this one up, Stevie D. And I think we're going to sign off by saying, go Bills.
What you gonna listen to? Oh, government sports. What you gonna listen to? Oh, government sports. Sit back, relax. Vince and Stevie D are gonna break it down about the team from their hometown. Josh the key on touchdown. Rodgers to Wilson touchdown. You gonna laugh, you gonna cry, but these two are ride or die. They'll take you all the way to the Super Bowl or the exhibition.